Hi there, welcome to the Jay Slater missing person case, a 19-year-old male that went missing in Tenerife on holiday not that long ago. But enough time has passed by since to get a feeling that the outcome probably isn't going to be good. You take in consideration the area, the temperatures, the environment, it's not looking good. But whilst the case is popular, it's gained traction such as on TikTok and even YouTube. True crime channels have come on in and other channels as well have gathered about and audiences. There seems to be a bit of a consensus that people feel sad about the case, sad about the person that's gone missing, that they want a resolve, that they hope and want the person to be found alive. And you might be wondering, why do we even have to question that in the first place? Surely every missing person case out there is as important as one another, and the victim that's gone missing is truly innocent. Well, kind of, but, and there is a but, when it comes to Jay Slater, he does have a bit of a dark past from back then within the UK. And that's what I want to take a look at today. We've got two articles which will go into giving a bit of the story as to what's happened to Jay in recent time with the whole disappearance thing, but more so looking at the past, exactly what happened, or supposedly what happened. Now, I'll be honest with you, when trying to search for this, I heard about it first on TikTok back then, and I wasn't too sure what to think about it, okay? When I tried searching myself online, oh, guess what? Couldn't find any articles. That's convenient, right? Would it been hidden to fit a certain agenda? I don't know, to portray that Jay is a true, innocent, pure angel or something? Well, luckily, some more news has come out since, more like official news articles. Now, you might be skeptical yourself of the odd article, but we're just going to read through it today to understand why Jay Slater has a dark past. Does it link to his disappearance right now? Me personally, I don't think so, no. But still, just the common theme and consensus that people think that Jay is truly innocent and, oh, it's such a sad shame. We need to acknowledge people's past so people know their role, their place, and where they came from and what they were like in the past and what they may have done to others in the past, right? That always needs to be acknowledged. And you might be wondering, what's this dark past all about? It's to do with being in a gang, a machete attack, and I believe a 17-year-old boy at the time. One against many. That's a typical coward's mentality, isn't it? Take in mind, whilst people from the US might have mass shootings and gun issues, the wrong people behind the gun, the trigger, etc., it can cause panic, can cause fear, death of innocent people. Well, the equivalent of that is in the UK, where you got cowardly, for most part of it, males, different colours, but maybe it might suit in one area more than others, but depends where you come from within the UK. Cowardly males, for most part of it, using knives, machetes to defend themselves, but also to attack innocent people along the way. It's very cowardly. It's not even with fist. It has to be with a knife. It has to be with a machete. So you get the idea. And it has, been quite full on over the last few years. But that aside, we need to directly take a look at this particular event, which has kind of painted Jay in a bad way, a bad picture. Just get a full understanding. And as well, there is a second article which we'll take a look at a bit later to do with the actual victim speaking out from the past. That is quite interesting. Without further ado, let's get straight into this. Here is the article. Take in mind, this is from Daily Mail by Nick Craven. I'm not sure if this Nick is the same Nick in the Noah Presgrove case. If it was, just be very cautious, I guess. But let's just read it. And this was the one which I found, which had a bit more detail to it, to the original story, compared to some other articles out there. Still, there's not much about it. It does make me think, were they trying to hide it, right? Whoever, family members or friends of friends, you never know. Title of this reads, Jay Slater was not the main perpetrator of the machete attack that left teen with half his skull exposed. That sounds pretty extreme. Say witnesses. That's what witnesses say. Are they valid then? Here's everything we know about the gangland assault and the schoolgirl whose brave actions saved the victim. And this was June 2024. Getting on a bit, isn't it? Anything to acknowledge here? Well, they're saying that he wasn't the main perpetrator, but if you're still a part of it, you're still a part of the problem, right? Got some photos there. That's the victim on the left. Scene of the attack. Looks like a dodgy, rough area. On the right, I don't know if that's before and after photos of when they were younger and how they look now. I'm not too sure, to be honest with you. But I can see possibly an aggressive looking dog there. Take in mind, that's yet another thing when it comes to the UK. Aggressive dogs at times. And sometimes delusional dog owners. I detest delusional dog owners. They'll make up every excuse in the book, but they won't see it clearly. They're biased individuals. Pathetic. But let's just focus here on the most important part. The machete attack carried out by teenager Jay Slater and others in 2021 could have been fatal, but for the heroic intervention of a young girl who threw herself onto the victim's body to save him. Wow. Her bravery was hailed by the judge at the trial of Jay and 7 others, who brutally attacked him with machetes, an axe, and a golf club. Right. Is that normal behaviour to be using machetes, an axe, a golf club against, a defenceless individual? 7, 8 against 1? Sounds very cowardly, doesn't it? And Jay being involved. Now, how it's worded here, the machete attack carried out by Jay Slater, yet the title says he wasn't the main perpetrator. But did he have a hand in actually dishing out some of the damage? Let's see. Judge Philip Parry commended 15-year-old, in quotes, this was an act that undoubtedly prevented him from being more seriously injured or killed. 3 years on, and Jay, one of the perpetrators, is missing in Tenerife, having disappeared in the early morning of June 17th, sparking a huge police search for him. Jay was 16 at the time of the incident when that defenseless individual was attacked with an axe, a machete, golf club. It was said by witnesses to be on the periphery of the attack. What, just standing there? Although the defendants were cleared of a more serious charge of wounding with intent to commit GBH, all were found guilty of violent disorder. Some, though not Slater, were also convicted of witness intimidation, supply of Class A drugs and street robbery, which was linked to a county lines drug gang. And there's Jay Slater, 16 at the time of the incident, was said by witnesses to be on the periphery of the attack. That would imply that he wasn't joining in on the attack, but he was nearby, but he was a part of that gang that did that to someone. So why would you be surrounding yourself with those type of people unless you've been groomed into that gang or you've been forced into it? But still, it's not a good look, is it? Is that the victim again? Yeah, we'll get to that later. Mr. Hilton has urged amateur sleuths to have some respect after Jay went missing. Oh, here we go again with the degenerative, sheepish, cringy language of sleuths. I can't stand that word. God, that does look rough. The incident began shortly before 9 p.m. on the night of August 6, 2021, when Mr. Hilton, then at the time 17 years old, walked to an old paper mill in Hermitage Street, Rishton, Lancashire. Slater had no previous convictions when the case finally reached Preston Court Crown last year. Like the others, he escaped youth custody and was given instead a community service order. He escaped youth custody. That's not a good look either, because whilst people can say, oh yeah, but Jay was innocent and he didn't play a major role in all of this attack. I mean, by escaping custody, he felt, what, he was above people, that he had no role in it. I don't belong here. You need to serve your time. You need to do what needs to be done, right? Give and take. Anyway, the incident began shortly before 9 p.m. on the night of August 6, 2021, when Mr. Hilton, then 17, yeah, we saw that, bollocks, yeah, Derelict building covered with graffiti, and the woodland surrounding it had become a hangout for local youths, and security fencing around it had long since been trampled down to allow them to access. So, a bit dodgy, hangout, drugs, drink, things like that. Not saying that it was the case here, but it can happen in general. After more than a year of pandemic lockdowns, COVID, young people in the area had faced some of the toughest restrictions in the country. Please, a lot of people around had restrictions, but it still didn't stop some from breaking the rules. This is the thing, when it comes to the UK, you look at the ones in power, the ones up top, general public can bash them and call them out. Yeah, they broke the rules, that they were causing this, they were causing that. I think people need to realise that even if those in power did what they should have done and stuck with the rules, that you honestly think that general public would be purely innocent and follow along. Now, the general public are just as bad because even they couldn't control themselves at times. Let's be realistic there during the lockdown. Anyway, amid broken glass and piles of rubble, youths gathered at the mill to drink alcohol and meet with friends. Some took drugs and others scrawled graffiti on the walls. It was dark, damp, and well away from parental eyes. Drugs, as I expected. Tom Hilton arrived at the mill looking for a girl he knew and was met by a teenager who went inside to get her. Minutes later, 8 boys aged between 14 and 18 emerged and started chasing Tom like a pack of gorillas. A pack of gorillas? Bloody hell. Normally it's a pack of wolves. I didn't know gorillas was a term. Interesting. According to his account, it was said there was beef between Tom and some of the group, although exactly what was never clear for this part. Tom reluctantly said he knew them, but they had simply drifted apart. Right. Interesting. Let's just read that again. It was said beef between Tom and some of that group, so that group being the ones that attacked him. So who knows what that's all about? Not exactly cleared up here, so you'll be thinking, did one person cause the other tension, or was it vice versa, or was it shared between them? Said he knew them, but they had simply drifted. Jay Slater, 18, received an 18-month community order with 25 days rehabilitation and 150 hours unpaid work. There's that aggressive-looking dog. Kane Taylor, 20, was given an 18-month community order with 25 days rehabilitation activities and 150 hours unpaid work. That guy with a bit of a dodgy haircut, to be honest. Davis Hargraves, 18, was given a 2-year community order with 35 days rehabilitation activity. That person looks a lot younger. James McGree, that's right, 18, handed a 2-year community order with 25 days rehabilitation activities and 200 hours unpaid work. So I'm guessing these people are part of that gang at the time. Connor Armstrong, 19, was handed a 2-year community order with 35 days rehabilitation activities, etc., etc. And that's what the area looks like. Yeah, security fencing. Was there any CCTV, I wonder? Some wore balaclavas. Well, that's typical, isn't it? Hiding their faces. So upon having weapons, wearing balaclavas, very cowardly, to be honest. One was armed with a machete, another had an axe, one had a hammer, another one was wielding a golf club. It's ridiculous, isn't it? Fearing for his life, he ran through the woods and onto the road, where the gang caught up with him. According to witness statements, there were around 50 young people in the area at the time. The trial judge said the 8 defendants, who most likely were joined by others who escaped punishment, acted together. When they caught up with him, he was knocked to the ground with a golf club and set upon with a machete. As Mr. Hilton turned his face away to try and avoid being struck by the blade, he heard someone screaming, "Stop it, you're going to kill him." Okay. Amid broken glass and piles of rubble, youths gathered at... Yeah, we've seen that. Yeah, it does look dodgy, doesn't it? He heard his attackers say, "I don't give a beep, we're going to kill him," as he was struck in the back of the head. The fearsome weapon struck his head so deeply that his skull was visible. Damn, that's pretty extreme. The 15-year-old Good Samaritan selflessly then pulled one of his attackers away and threw herself over Mr. Hilton's body to protect him. Now, if it was a male that did that, they probably would have got killed on the spot as well. Following her vital intervention, the group walked off saying, "He's dead, boys." As well as a deep cut to the back of his head, Mr. Hilton suffered severe wounds to his shoulder blades and legs. He had visible stamp marks on his legs and bruises to his rib. Once the attackers had walked off, other members of the larger group of witnesses went to Tom's aid and called an ambulance. Throughout the subsequent trial at Preston Crown Court, all the defendants laughed and joked in a way that judge said showed disrespect. All the defendants laughed and joked. So this is tying in with, Jay. Interesting. So obviously they're not taking it serious, which isn't a good look. So Jay Slater was laughing and joking as well, from the looks of it. Judge Philip Parry told them during sentencing, I have to have at the forefront of my mind the fact that most of you were children when you committed these offences. Make it very, very clear that all 8 of you have behaved disgracefully in relation to the violent disorder, but also intimidation of witnesses, supply of Class A drugs and street robbery. You should all 8 be thoroughly ashamed of yourselves, but I'm not all convinced you are. Many of you have found these proceedings amusing throughout the trial and yesterday and today, showing disrespect to the court. I hope for the sake of all your families, the public and the people who have offered you jobs and apprenticeships and sought that you all grow up, every one of you deserves to be sent to detention. Some of you played a more active role in the violent disorder than others. Some of you carried weapons, some wore balaclavas, but the seriousness of this is the group nature of it. As a group, you were all more threatening than you would have been as individuals. The judge said if the group had been convicted of the more serious charge of Section 18 wielding, they would all have gone to youth custody. However, he said he took a rehabilitative approach when sentencing them. He said, today is going to be a life-changing or life-defining event for you all. You all have a chance to get into a lawful or law-abiding direction. I can almost feel the sense of relief from your families and supporters in the public gallery who all expected you to go to custody today. As I said earlier, you all richly deserve tea. The sentences were Danny Jacob, 18, an 18-month community order with 25 days rehabilitation activities, 180 hours of unpaid work. Connor Armstrong, 19, 2-year community order, 35 days rehabilitation, 200 hours of unpaid work. James McGree, 18, 25 days rehabilitation, 200 hours unpaid work. Davis Hargraves, 18, 2-year community order, 35 days, same. Kane Taylor, 18-month community order, 25 days, 150 hours unpaid work. Jay Slater, 18, received an 18-month community order with 25 days rehabilitation activities, 150 hours unpaid work. 16-year-old who could not be named for legal reasons, 18-month, 91, okay. 17-year-old, yeah, okay. That appears to be it. I mean, it gave enough detail there in a way. Did it directly say, though, where Jay Slater fell into all this on the peripheral site from what witnesses said? But at what peripheral site? Before or after Tom was chased down by the gang? And if it was after, does that mean that Jay followed the gang when chasing down Tom like a pack of gorillas? I wonder. Moving on to the next article, we take a look from the different perspective of the victim themselves, but years on. Jay Slater, victim of gang attack involving missing teens, speaks out as Tenerife search escalates. There we go. There's Jay Slater. So it might mention some things the same again and again, but no harm in comparing, seeing if there's any consistency, any additional info too. A man who was left injured in a machete attack by a gang involving missing Brit, Jay Slater, has urged people to help find him and have some respect as the major search efforts enter their 10th day. Jay was part of a gang of 8 that split the skull of Tom Hilton, then aged 17, during the attack, with a machete and axe in Rishton, Lancashire, back in August 2021. 19-year-old bricklayer Jay vanished last Monday morning, June 17th. After attending a 3-day rave with pals in Tenerife, it's understood he jetted off to the Spanish island to attend the NRG Music Festival in the south of the island. Details of Mr. Hilton's attack were widely shared online after previous articles had been uncovered and reposted on social media amid the search efforts to locate missing Jay. Well, let me tell you something. Those articles and news things, they weren't that easy to get a hold of. I heard about it on TikTok from what other people said, but I didn't see it directly. I tried searching online and it was hard to find. That's convenient, isn't it? It might show up now, but it wasn't when I tried checking. And I did, enter in the different search terms. It didn't come up. It was pathetic. in court. He described the gang of 8 as a pack of wolves. Oh, okay, we've transitioned from a pack of gorillas to some wolves. What are we going to transition to next? A pack of penguins or something? Anyway, and said he was forced to run for his life through the woods before they eventually caught with him. But victim Tom, who was left with serious wounds to his skull, shoulders and legs in a shocking attack, has since hit back at internet trolls and urged people to help find Jay. In a public post on social media, he wrote, "Whoever is writing on these TikToks, give it a rest. The young lad's missing and his family's heartbroken." 13 hours ago. I'll just read it again. "Whoever's writing on these TikToks, give it a rest. This young lad's missing and his family's heartbroken. Put yourself in their shoes. Stop talking nonsense on social media. Get this lad found. Mentioning my name, all this and that. Have some respect and help find this boy and get him back to his family." So, in all fairness, considering that Tom was the victim in the past, on the receiving end of the likes of Jay Slater, or at least the gang that Jay Slater was a part of, and it was a vicious, brutal, cowardly attack, could have been life-threatening, could have been fatal if it continued on. At this moment in time, you could argue and say Tom Hilton has been the better man, a better person, upon, forgiving? Maybe not so much that, but putting more important matters at first hand, which is the fact that Jay's gone missing. Now, in terms of the general public who haven't been in the shoes of Tom, who haven't been the victim, many humans out there can react differently, whether you're directly involved or not, because not every victim will be able to forgive someone else or others that easily, or be able to look past the past and then feel sorry for the person now, the one who was part of the problem back then, who's now missing. Not everybody reacts the same way. Not everybody feels the same way. It is what it is. It just happens that in this case, Tom is being the better individual and saying that there are more important pressing matters at hand than my past attack by the hand of this individual and that individual, which is good of Tom to say, but nevertheless, got to acknowledge that when you look at Jay Slater and people portray as a truly innocent individual, it's not exactly the case, is it? A bit of misinformation, so no harm in just giving details from the past just so people know what's what. There we saw that. Preston Crown Court, Jay was handed 8 months, seen that. Judge Phillips at the time told the court the group had behaved disgracefully. All 8 should be ashamed. Yeah, there we go. The ongoing search efforts to locate missing Jay are continuing in their 10th day after the teenager was reported as a missing near to Masca in the rural de Tenerife on June 17th. In fairness, after reading that article, or news articles, which is explained in the past as well, one thing for certain, for definite, that Jay was present at the time of the attack and did nothing to stop it. It took, a 15-year-old girl to lay her body across the body of Tom? It says a lot, doesn't it? And one thing to be fair about in the article, did it say that Jay did this and attacked Tom? No. But in terms of how it was worded in the Daily Mail, it could be interpreted like that, at least, even though the title contradicted it, saying not played the main role, but still a part of it unfolding. Another thing, though, for certain is that it was with that group, with that gang. It says a lot about the person that Jay is, or at least what Jay was at the time, who he surrounds himself with. Surrounding himself with cowards, violent, aggressive, dark people, threatening behaviour. It's not a good look, and people can move on from the past and become a better person and learn blah, 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 but it's still important to know where people came from and what they were like in the past. Because if you're part of the general public, you've never seen these people before, first time round you come across them, and you don't know what they're capable of, or at least what they were like back then, you're not going to know, you're going to be in the dark, you're going to be misinformed. And if anything did go wrong in the future, if the person for whatever reason reoffended, you could be on the receiving end of it. You could have prevented it if you knew what that person was like in the past. And, triggered people from the UK wouldn't surprise me if they got triggered by me and others out there, whatever. I mean, on a less severe scale, like when it's come to the communities, when it comes to true crime, when it comes to missing person cases, and I've come across problematic people, cancerous humans, disease-ridden mentalities. I've documented it, I've analysed it, I've spread awareness, and what it meant was people in the future, like present day now, were informed about who is who, what is what, and what they're all about. and people have been able to avoid problematic people and not be on the receiving end, not get close to the fire and be burned, not be injured, not be hurt, not be harassed online, all kinds of things which can cause pain in alternative ways, digitally speaking, because of spreading awareness, because of me highlighting, the good people from the bad eggs, made it a lot more clear to understand. And in a real life situation on a more physical basis, if you know who someone is, you got a better idea of how to deal with them, whether you want to remain around them or not, right? Now, you might be wondering, okay, this is the past. What about the present? What about the future? What about Jay Slater? If the likes of Tom, in a way, can forgive Jay's involvement in that attack back then shouldn't everybody else be able to move forwards? You'd think so, but not everybody is able to do that, and everyone has their own opinion. And in my opinion, what I would say is, and tying in with what other people have suggested, that with what's happened in the past, with this violent attack, this cowardly attack with weapons, use of intimidation, wearing balaclavas, being a part of a gang, did any of that catch up on Jay Slater in the future to present day? Out at Tenerife, kidnapped? I think that's what the mother said, bundled into the back of a car or a van, taken away. Why would the mother instantly assume or think that? Is it because she's thinking about the past and how it could have caught up with Jay? I wonder. General public are saying it's karma for what's happened in the past, for what Jay did to Tom, indirectly or directly. Karma has catched up now, because now Jay is on the receiving end of an unfortunate outcome. But to be honest, if it was succumbing to the environment, if it was fairly instant, if it was because of the heat, maybe it wouldn't have been a painful death. So I wouldn't say there was karma there, considering Tom went through a lot more fear, panic, pain. The skull showing, that seems a lot worse, even though the person didn't die, a lot worse that feeling at the time, the fear, the panic, the pain, possibly worse than what Jay may have gone through. But it depends, right? Until there is a true answer, he's been found, or his body has been found. Let's talk about the GoFundMe in the background, money being raised, was it £32,000, but then wanting to be drawn out by the mother. Some people are skeptical, thinking that the GoFundMe could be some kind of attempt to just make some easy money, and that Jay is hiding away on holiday, free little holiday here and there, whilst raising money in the background in a fake way. I mean, just in general, wouldn't surprise me, because when it does go to GoFundMes, they can be very dodgy, they can be fake, they can be scams at times. I mean, when I covered the Dylan Rounds case and one individual was wanting to raise $10,000 and then another individual wanted to raise $10,000, they reached a target very quick. And was any of that money used in the Dylan Rounds case when searching? Nope. Am I talking about the official Dylan Rounds GoFundMe or whatever it's called? No. I'm talking about general public people, true crimers or searchers, wanting to raise money, and then they don't use that money for the right thing. So they deceive people. Is that what's happening here? Who knows? Anything's possible, right? But at least in my opinion, do I think Jay Slater going missing is karma for what he did or indirectly did to Tom back in the past? As for the circumstances and the outcome, not quite karma, because you don't know what's happened to Jay. If, let's just say, Jay Slater was viciously attacked, beaten, stabbed, then you could say it's karma, because it's like an eye for an eye in terms of the exact outcome, what happened. In terms of simply going missing, it's not exactly true karma. And quite some time has passed by since, so would you even call it karma? I mean, karma can catch up with anyone at any point, any time. But in a way of saying it wasn't karma, in my opinion, would be tying in with it's not linked. So what's ever happened in the past has happened in the past and remains in the past, and people have moved forward since in whichever way. Tom has as well, the victim. And that this is kind of unrelated. It's an unfortunate event, wrong place, wrong time. Something went wrong with Jay, whether someone else is involved or not, foul play or not, missing person case. But on that basis, that it's unfortunate, it's a shame. You can never forget the past. You always need to have an idea of who they are, what they were like at some point back then, even if it doesn't directly link, right? Because if people don't like misinformation or disinformation and all that, because it ruins a case or it makes it harder to understand what's what and what's true and what's fact. Well, the fact is that Jay does have a bit of a dark past, right? And he's not completely innocent. Let's make that very clear. Yet there are a range of delusional do-gooders out there that can't seem to see that or acknowledge it. Which is typical, to be honest, but it is what it is, humans, IQ, etc. Now, the only other thing to highlight was when referring back to that court situation where the judge was saying how the 8 defendants, the 8 people responsible, were all laughing, giggling, and not taking it serious. So even if you wanted to put the excuse in and say Jay wasn't the main guy or wasn't the one to use the machete or the golf club or the axe, you know, Jay was there present and didn't do anything to stop it, but a girl did, a 15-year-old one, of all people. But it's the fact that in court as well, that Jay, from how it's described, was laughing and giggling with the others, not taking it serious. So it clearly shows that even at that point, Jay Slater showed no remorse, didn't care at all about what he did, or at least what he saw, or what he enabled, what he became a part of at the time. Right? It's kind of like serial killers where they don't show any emotion, blank face. Obviously, they don't care what they've done or the pain or the fear, the damage they've caused on loved ones, family members, friends of friends, victims' families. Other times, you might get a criminal that will taunt, right, laugh in the face of the victim's family. That's disrespectful as well. It's kind of like the situation here. And, you know, if in a situation back then, 2021, that Tom did die, and those 8 individuals were responsible in some way or another, in court, would it be the same outcome of them laughing? Probably. You can use the excuse and say, well, the young, blah, 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 blah. But still, once you get to a certain age, you start approaching being an adult, you should have some kind of attitude in the right direction. But clearly here, not quite. Laughing and joking after a brutal attack of somebody in a cowardly way, and that's supposedly funny, says a lot about them, doesn't it? And even Jay as well. So, just wanted to do this little video here because I've seen a bit of a bandwagon where people portray Jay in a positive light. We need to be realistic, okay? So, you've seen my opinion that I don't think the past links to what's happened to Jay right now, but I also don't think that it's not directly karma, but Jay's not exactly innocent. Okay? Thought I'd keep it somewhat balanced there, just so things don't escalate too far. So thanks for watching. I'll see you later if there is a video. Goodbye for now.